want to talk more about whether this is a good idea for Tesla and its shareholders. With us now is David Kreutzer, Senior Research Fellow at the Heritage Foundation. Betsy Atkins also joined us, CEO of Baja Corp and a board member of Volvo Cars. Good to have you both. David, I want to kick it off with you. Phil just ended our part of the discussion by saying it's a win-win. Would you agree here?
Well, you know, I don't know whether it's good for Tesla or not. Betsy could speak to that much better than I can. What I like is that they can do it. That we don't have a bunch of people saying, well, no, we don't want people to be rich. We don't want all sorts of restrictions on executive compensation, because decades and decades we've had people saying they get paid too much. Well, this is a great American story. He's rolling the dice. There's a great chance he gets nothing. But if he performs, he gets a huge payout, and we should applaud that. And I'm glad that the board can do that and that they have a CEO that's willing to take the same challenge.
I think what's interesting about this plan also, Betsy, is that once Elon Musk actually is awarded, if he is awarded, once he meets these benchmarks, stock, he's got to hold on to that stock for 5 years. So it's not just, let's get that stock up to this market cap, let's get these metrics up here, and then I'm going to just sell that stock. I mean, he's got to be a holder as well.
That's true, but he's being paid like a tech company CEO. He's not being paid like an automotive CEO.
What's wrong with that, Betsy?
Well, you have to look at the metrics that would be important for someone who was buying a car or buying shares in a car company. Metrics like quality, meeting production requirements, safety. Those are other important metrics that auto companies tend to measure in addition to market cap, profit, and revenue.
A fair point. I won't dispute that you would want your auto company, obviously, to be building safe vehicles and vehicles that have high quality and the reliability is there. But I would argue that, look, you start cranking out a bunch of clunkers. If you're Tesla 5 years from now, the stock's not going to be where it's going to, where they would like it to be.
I mean,
but
I
with
think
a high value,
go ahead, Betsy.
But with a very high value stock, you know, the tendency could be, it could be a risk to shareholders that if there was bad news on quality or safety, that you might mitigate that news. You know, compensation plans that are heavily reliant on stock price introduce risk. And I think it's important to account for that. And I think that's why other plans are more balanced, and why when you look at picking your peer companies as a compensation chair, you should consider automotive companies, not just tech companies. And this compensation plan is pretty much a pure tech company comp plan.
Is your main, I mean, is one of your main objections, Betsy, that he gets paid on a total amount, what is equivalent to a tech company's compensation, as opposed to not? I mean, do you think he's just simply being paid too much?
I think the equity is way high. He currently has 22%. In this comp plan, he can earn another 12%. 22 plus 12, that's an enormous amount, and that's not shareholder friendly. That's a lot of dilution. You know, 1% or a little more per year for a CEO to be able to earn is a huge amount. That's an outlier compensation plan by a lot.
David, that's a fair point. I mean, would you be concerned?
Yeah, but you know, bigger picture here. Tesla is not disrupting the automobile industry by doing everything the way all the other automobile companies do it. All right? He's bringing something different. He had a completely different way of going about it. He's not even the same as the other electric car company makers. He used the cell phone model. You know, he didn't start out saying, well, how can we make cars for economy cars for people? Like, they didn't start out saying, how can we make cell phones for the homeless? They started making them for the captains of the universe. And then they got cheaper, and the commanders and the lieutenants and the ensigns could buy it, and finally all the sailors have cell phones. Same thing with this car company. They're doing it a completely different way. And I think it's great. Will it fail? I don't know, but that's what I like about it. Let industries, let firms, let people make decisions. If it works, they'll be copied. If it flunks, they'll try something else. And so I don't think we should hold Tesla and Musk to the same standards as the automobile companies, or you'll get nothing other than what we already have.
Right. I mean, Phil, do you think